You're listening to the Waugh Boarding School Podcast, broadcasting around the world. Join us as we promote independent boarding schools throughout the United States and Canada with our invited guests. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jeffrey Quebec.
Welcome to the Waugh Boarding School Podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Director of Enrollment Management at Pickering College in Newmarket, Ontario, Waugh. Welcome, Will. It's great to have you here today.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you through the screen, and I know we'll be looking forward to meeting in person one of these days real soon too.
So originally founded as West Lake School near Picton, Ontario, back in 1842, there certainly seems to be a storied history. First starting out with only girls, and 1 year later the school began accepting boys due to the Quaker belief in the need to educate both sexes. In 1878, the school moved to Pickering, Ontario, under the funding of the Quakers. The name was then changed to Pickering College. A campus fire forced the move to its current location in Newmarket, Ontario in 1909. Pickering College is the second oldest independent boarding school in Ontario. Will, perhaps you can start off by giving our audience a brief overview of the number of students at Pickering College, the grades you offer, where the students come from, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jeff. And a great kind of summary. I mean, what's really interesting about the history of our school is that we have had these sort of three identities, starting off in Westlake, and then in Pickering, and then in Newmarket. And actually having been here now for most of our history, we always joke that we're Pickering College, and we are not in Pickering, and we are not a college. We're an independent school. So it can always be a little bit of confusion, and throughout a big portion of that history here in Newmarket, where we now are, we were actually an all boys school, and then we returned to being co-ed, in the scope of our history relatively recently, in the 1990s. So it's been quite interesting. But to get to your question about the size and the scope and kind of what the school is all about. We are, in many ways, I would say, quite a small school. We're around 500 students, but that's all the way from junior kindergarten to grade 12. So from, quite young, 4 years old, right to just pre-university. So it's having about 500 students for a school that size is quite small, but it is a very global school in character because the boarding component adds this international flair. We have over 100 boarding students from more than 30 countries. So it's a neat mix of both local Canadian day students as well as those students from around the world.
Very nice. And what is the academic curriculum like at Pickering College?
Mm-hmm. So we always say that the school itself, we're kind of two things merged together, which is really high expectations, but also really high support. So the academic curriculum at the core is our state curriculum. So it's the Ontario Secondary School Diploma. Students are earning credits towards that. What we then try to do is essentially layer on top of that curriculum all of the great experiences, challenges, academic rigor that are really going to help our students stand out when they go on to apply to universities or wherever. So we also do offer AP credits if students really want to challenge themselves in their final year. Before going off to university, they can take AP Chem or AP Calc to really make that challenge for themselves. The other thing that's a little bit unique here at Pickering is we have our own enrichment program called the Global Leadership Program. And Global Leadership Program, it's a little bit different from some leadership programs in that it's not an opt-in. It's actually something that every single student is doing by default, and it's woven throughout the curriculum. So each year within our senior school, there's a different theme. So grade 9, it's sustainability. Grade 10, it's culture and society. As students get into the upper capstone years, grade 11, grade 12, what we're all about then is trying to actually connect those students to what they care about. Like, what are their own passions? What are the things that they would like to see in the world change for the better? And we try to empower them to realize that they can use what they're good at to make those changes actually happen. So it kind of gets back, you mentioned we are Canada's only Quaker founded school. And a lot of what that's about is, Quakers are big proponents of taking action. So it's not theoretical. It's not coming up with a plan to do this. It's what are you going to do to actually change that and make the difference. So between kind of global leadership program, Ontario secondary school diploma, and then for those students that choose to, maybe some advanced placement credits as well. It's pretty comprehensive, pretty rigorous. Like I said, high expectations, but also pretty high supports here too.
That's awesome. So referencing the high support, Will, can you talk a little bit about the academic support that's offered at Pickering College?
Yeah. So I mean, I always see this. It's sort of like an onion with the layers that go around a student, because we know that students are capable of really great things, but they need to be surrounded by a caring team and family of adults that are going to empower them, to be there if they need a shoulder to cry on, to be there if they run into any difficulties. So there's a few different layers that I'll speak to. The first one being all of our students are part of a faculty advisor program. Pickering College was actually one of the first schools to introduce an advisor program under a previous headmaster decades and decades ago. But it's something that we've continued to do. A lot of other schools have emulated the faculty advisor. But it's pretty cool here because it's a small group. It's 9 students to one faculty member. And it's not, just for show. This is someone, we actually do family style lunches 3 days a week. So 3 days out of the week, you're sitting at a table of 10, which is your advisor and the other 9 advisees, breaking bread, having that meal together. So it's someone that, you can connect to. That's sort of your key contact. For parents sending their children farther away for boarding school, that faculty advisor is someone you can touch base with that has, eyes on your child multiple times throughout every week. So there's that kind of support. We also have, full-time learning strategists. So for students that may need some extra time on tests, if they have any learning differences that require any accommodations, there's a team that supports that. One of the great things about a boarding school, of course, is we also have a health center here on campus, which is staffed by nurses. There's a doctor that comes through. We actually also employ a full-time counselor. So for anything like mental health issues, homesickness, what have you, there's someone there that a student can go to talk to. So there's those supports. Fantastic team of guidance counselors, the guidance office, as far as university applications, course selections, making sure you're on the right track. Again, built right in there. And then, of course, for boarding students, it's on top of all of those pieces, which are available to all of our students. Boarding students also benefit from a dedicated boarding staff. And this is something that's a little bit new for us. In many boarding schools, as you're aware, Jeff, boarding staff are oftentimes also tasked with teaching, with doing additional activities during the day. And we recently actually moved away from that model in that our boarding staff are now dedicated multi-year professionals in crafting the type of boarding program that we want to see. So what you'll see now is rather than newer teachers and kind of shorter term tenures for boarding staff, we have many more staff that are multi-year. They can really get to know the boarding students year over year. So we have 2 boarding houses, Firth House, which is our traditional girls' residence, New House, which is our traditional boys' residence. Each of those houses has their own dedicated house director, as well as 2 full-time multi-year house parents that oversee then a team of dons and can work towards the day-to-day as far as evenings, weekends, making sure that, students aren't bored and they're also feeling really, really well supported here.
So, Will, you referenced the advisor system. So when a student arrives to Pickering and they're assigned an advisor, is that the advisor who stays with them through their tenure at Pickering College, or does that rotate from year to year?
No, that's going to be consistent. And then the nice thing with that, so it's a group of students between grades 9 and 12. So every year within your advisor group, there'll be 1 or 2 students graduate out as you as a student maybe go from grade 9 to 10 to 11 to 12. There'll be younger students coming in. So there's a little bit of opportunity for peer mentorship there too. But it's the stable faculty member that's overseeing that group.
And I assume those bonds become quite strong by the time they graduate.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's something. I think the meal piece to it, it seems small, but it actually makes a big difference. There's something very different about going to somebody's office or going to their classroom There's a bit, a different power dynamic. There's something about sitting down and sharing a meal with somebody.
It's called food, right?
Yeah, it opens up a very different environment and a very, trusting, caring, but very similar to many of us sit down and have our family dinners at home. With our family, we really want to make sure that we're emulating that here at the school for boarding students who this is now their family and their home away from home.
That's great. And Will, can you tell me a little bit about the visual and performing arts offerings at Pickering?
Yeah, so we have quite a broad offering within sort of both, and one that's also perfect time because we're just about to launch into a brand new facility for all of that as well.
Oh, very nice.
So I've always said that, when it comes to arts, music, drama here at Pickering, we've done a lot with what has been some maybe suboptimal spaces. One of the challenges sometimes, as you know, with an older boarding school is that, the facilities, they do take more upkeep. It takes more effort to build and to update those. So we're actually really excited now that next year for music, for drama, and for art, they'll all be moving into our brand new building. So we have a new building opening up this coming September. So I know you might be watching this at any time, but that's September 2025. And the new building actually called Westlake House in honor of where we started out almost 200 years ago, will house a brand new arts wing. So that's going to be something that I think is just going to really, take the art program to the next level. But already we have students that are going to top schools within the world of art and design. Most of our graduates, I would say, tend to be a little bit more on the STEM focus. So we would see about half of our graduates now going on to study in STEM fields in university. But those that don't, those that are interested in arts, interested in design, they're hitting top schools. Not just here in Canada, but some going to the U.S. We had a student recently go to Florence. This year we have 2 graduates actually that have been accepted to RISD, which is probably the top design school, or at least among the top few in the world. So we have, a really strong foundation in those areas.
That's awesome. And are there any special signature programs that are offered at Pickering College?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I touched on the Global Leadership Program earlier, so I won't go back into that too much, but that's one that's very unique to us. One of the other things that's really kind of neat here at Pickering that, especially in this format that we're doing now through a podcast, is that we're actually the only independent school in Canada that has our own radio station. So this is actually a radio station that is, students get in there and they do things on the internet and on podcasts. But what's kind of unique about it is it's actually fully government licensed. It broadcasts around this area. It's on the FM dial. It's 102.7 CHOP FM. And this is actually something that is almost entirely run through our students. So you can take that as a co-curricular. You can do that as like an after-school activity. But you can actually take radio and audio production as one of your courses here at Pickering too. So it works out really well for those aspiring, journalists, DJs, those that want to get into the broadcasting industry can actually get their start here and really, tune their chops while they're still here and still in high school. So that's something that is quite unique. It's moving as well. It'll be in our new building in Westlake House when it opens up. It's going to be into a brand new studio that's overlooking the front lobby of that building. But certainly quite a unique program that we have here.
What an awesome opportunity as for a high school student to get that experience. That's great.
Absolutely.
So, Will, how about athletics? Is every student required to play a sport each season? And also, what are some of the athletic offerings that Pickering College has?
Yeah, so every student is required to take a co-curricular. That co-curricular may be a sport or a non-sport option. So most students, I would say, are taking at least one of those terms in the year. They're doing athletic sports. But if that's not your thing, you could also do, like I mentioned, radio, or you could do yearbook, green team, youth action organization, debate team. There's all those kind of non-sport co-curriculars. When it comes to sports, though, we do offer, we are in a Canadian climate here, so it really is season dependent. Students, typically we start out, a lot of the sports like soccer will be in the early fall, track and field. Essentially, we have fall and we have spring to do those kind of outdoor fair weather activities. And then when we hit into the winter months, that's going to be when we have more of the indoor. So we have a lot of the gymnasium sports. We have a fantastic gym facility here for, basketball, volleyball, badminton, all of that kind of those indoor sports. We're really fortunate here that we have our own arena, which is pretty unique amongst a school that does not also have a really high level elite hockey team. So that's one of the things when you're looking at schools, most either they have ice, but it's typically reserved for elite athletes, or they don't have ice because they don't have a hockey program. Where we're a little bit unique is that we have the ice, we have the access to the arena, but given the size of the school, we're not competing in a division one top tier elite hockey. So it actually forms a really cool opportunity we have a lot of boarding students from around the world that, they've never tried skating. So they actually have access to try that out right on campus. So there's certainly the ice opportunities for those interested in skiing and snowboarding. They can go pretty much every weekend throughout the winter. So from January through until March, we have our own little fleet of buses. We go out to Snow Valley, which is close by to us here, and students can ski, snowboard. So tons and tons of athletic options. The big thing that I'll say tends to be a little bit different with a school like Pickering College. I mentioned, we are smaller and we are also co-ed. For that reason, when you have a senior school of 250 to 300 students, and it's co-ed, so you're splitting that by gender, boys, girls. We just really don't have the size to be fielding a lot of really high-end elite level sports teams, which you tend to see either at larger schools or you see them at single gender schools that can be a little bit smaller because they focus their efforts. So what I always say is, we're a really great school for those that are athletic. You want to use sports to get out there, meet friends, develop a new skill, but also maybe even try something that you've never tried before. Because the advantage of the small school is you're much less likely to get cut from a team. You're going to get a lot more playing time, despite maybe not being a top tier athlete.
This is great. So we're going to do, Will, we're going to take a quick break. And we come back, we're going to continue our conversation talking about Pickering College in Newmarket, Ontario.
Do you have any questions or guests that you'd like to see on an upcoming Why Boarding School podcast? You can contact us directly through our website at whyboardingschool.com. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec. And today I'm joined by the Director of Enrollment Management at Pickering College in Newmarket, Ontario, Will Waugh. Will, could you share with our audience, what is a typical school day like at Pickering College?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The average weekday here, students are going to get up. They have a little bit of freedom as far as how they're going to structure their mornings. We know some students want to go straight and dive right into breakfast, then go back and get all ready for the day. Others want to be, perfect, prim and proper uniform before they even leave the boarding house. So our morning breakfast, it's a buffet style breakfast, so students can kind of come and go as they please, as long as they are, ready in uniform and have eaten in time for class at 8:30. So what we'll have is their first period. At that point, there is a little bit of a break between first and second period. And that's where one of the traditions of Pickering College as a Quaker-founded school does remain, which is morning meeting. So morning meeting is an opportunity for our students to sit together in one place. There's a period of silence within that morning meeting. So it's a time for peaceful reflection, and also a time for us to come together and do any announcements or have any speeches or announcements from our faculty or staff. Following morning meeting, there is 2 more classes. So our senior school students eat a little bit late in the day because there's actually 2 seatings of lunch. So our middle and junior school students eat first. Senior school students eat around 1, have their lunch. Like I said, 3 days a week, that's a family style meal. So they're sitting at an assigned table with their faculty advisor, and the meal is actually served right at the table. The other 2 days a week, it's buffet style. So it's more, you can sit with your friends, you can take it to the student lounge. It's a little bit more relaxed on those days. 1 more class after lunch, and then into co-curriculars. So co-curriculars are daily. It's typically 1 hour after school from 3:30 to 4:30. Then a little bit of a break, a little bit of downtime right after school, free time for our boarders. Boarding students then have a lunch, then have their dinner around 5:36. And then following dinner, they'll then go into a supervised study period. So students have study hall. One of the perks, if a student's following all the rules, their grades are okay, they can also earn what's called a carrot, part of our carrot society. And students with a carrot, they can actually, instead of studying in study hall, they can study in their own room. And then a little bit more free time last thing in the evening. So that's kind of your typical weekday. Weekends tend to be a lot more choose your own adventure. So some students will, just take that opportunity to relax a little bit. These are teenagers. It's not uncommon for us to see some students sleeping in quite late on a weekend, but there is also always something to do. So we have, things to sign up for, everything from going down to Toronto, which is very close by to us, to visit the CN Tower, the aquarium, Canada's Wonderland amusement park, sporting events. We have Major League Baseball, NBA basketball, as well as NHL hockey, all 45 minutes from our campus. So there's opportunities to go down and check out sporting events. We have shopping trips. There's always something going on that they can do. But weekends tend to be a little bit more up to the individual student.
Seems like a lot of fun with so many different activities to do.
Lots to do, absolutely.
So, Will, you mentioned the meals during the week. What are the meals like during the weekend? Are they served sit down, buffet? Are they required? And how's that work?
Yeah, so on the weekend it's similar. So the breakfast and lunch are buffet style. They're not like a set time. It's kind of served as like a weekend brunch. So a lot of our students aren't really getting up at what we would call a breakfast hour on a Saturday. So they can come down and have more of that kind of brunch style. And similar dinners are buffet style on the weekend. And actually most nights of the week. So, but the dinners within boarding are pretty casual most days. The Tuesday night is our community dinner night when it is a little bit more formal. It's a kind of a sit down family style meal.
Great. And Will, what is dorm life like at Pickering College?
Never a dull moment. I will say that. It's, there's a really, really busy but caring atmosphere that exists within the two dorms. Our dorms are, a good size, and I think that they're big enough that our boarding students can get to know their people and find friends that have, similar interests, but small enough that they really get to know each other. So overall, our boarding, it's about 125 students, slightly more boys than girls, but a pretty close to even split there. So, there are, some of the students will be down doing some pickup games of basketball in the evenings. The fitness center is always popular. Our student lounge gets a lot of use during the day, but certainly the boarders really take use of the student lounge area if you want to play video games or, watch a movie, things like that. And of course, then the outings. So, we're really fortunate where we are here in Newmarket, Ontario, and that it's a small town, but it's big enough that it has things to do and places to go shopping. So even in the evenings, we'll run shuttle buses over to the local Walmart, to the mall, there's a grocery store close by as well. So there's opportunities for students to go out and kind of, hang out at the mall a little bit or do some shopping if they need to as well.
Will, would you say, is there a typical Pickering College student?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, in many ways, no. Like the students here are really, really diverse. Not just culturally, but in interests. It always amazes me the different things that folks are off doing. I mean, I guess there's a typical piece in that they work hard. Like I said, with the high expectation piece, like we are looking for focused students who want to go off and study and make their dreams come true in university. Does that need to be in, with a calculus, engineering, math, science background? No, a lot of them do. Like I said, about half of our grads are off into STEM, but there's also students here that are the complete opposite direction, and they're focusing all of their work on design and arts, and others that are completely focused into business and in finance and investing. And, the interests are really, really varied. But I would say the work ethic is very, very consistent.
So, Will, are there any cool traditions at Pickering College that may be unique from other schools? Or perhaps there's that sort of one tradition you hope always remains part of the school?
Yeah, I mean, this one I know it's not really really unique to Pickering, but it is our sports day. A lot of schools do sports days. Ours is the culmination, really of the year of competition within our house system. So we have 4 house colors within the school. There's red house, blue house, silver house, and gold house. I'm in red, so go red house.
That's the best one, right? The red one?
It is the best.
All right, just checking.
So, I mean, the neat thing about that system is throughout the entire year, students, but also faculty can earn house points through both the co-curriculars, through intramurals, but also through things like fundraisers that we do for charities, different things that you can sign up for. So it's kind of a culmination of the whole year of work. One of the ones that's really, really unique to Pickering College is what's called Booker's Run. Booker's Run is an annual run that we do, and that used to be actually out at our farm. We had a farm space as part of the campus. That since went away, so we started doing it here on campus or just downtown here in Newmarket. What's really exciting is we've actually now just acquired a farm again. So we are just launching right now our Blue and Silver Farm, which is an outdoor education center, over 70 acres of space. And this year, for the first time for years and years and years, we did Booker's Run on our own farm. So that's another way you can earn house point colors. And then at the end of the year, we have our annual sports day, which is a culmination of sort of the running to the last minute to earn those points, and culminates with the announcement of which house color wins each year. So it's a tradition that's been going on for years and years and years.
That's awesome. Go Red House, right?
Yes.
So, Will, before we speak about admissions, is there anything about Pickering College that we did not mention today that you'd like to mention to our audience?
Not too much. I mean, I think we've touched on a lot of it. I mean, the one thing that we're really, really excited for, I think, right now over the next few years is a big jump forward within the facilities space. So, we are a school that I think for many, many years have been known that, we have a saying, the people are Pickering, and that, when you have a well-established school, I think all schools that have been around for quite some time know the challenges that can come with aging infrastructure and buildings. But what's really exciting right now is we're leapfrogging quite a bit in that pack. So the one that I had mentioned, Westlake House, which goes back and really honors that very first schoolhouse back in 1842. Westlake House will be opening with, like I said, brand new spaces for art, music, drama, but also brand new science labs, 600-seat auditorium. Our library learning commons is moving over there, as well as all of our junior school classrooms. So our youngest learners will be there too. And Shop FM will have their brand new studio there. The arena that I mentioned, we have the ice here. Our arena is actually undergoing complete renovation and redo as we speak right now. We pulled out the old ammonia cooling system for a new CO2 system, which is in there, but also beefing up insulation, adding another gymnasium space and a rock climbing wall in the arena. And last but not least, I just touched on the farm, but the farm is going to be a really transformative change to the school in, a focus on outdoor education, certainly, but also on, bringing our values home, which is, having some of that self-sufficiency and, being able to be really good stewards of our land, which is one of the Quaker values is, we're able to do things like every day now in our salad bar at lunch, there's something that was growing out at our own farm. So we're really kind of working on getting students connected back to the land. I think these days a lot of young people are not getting their hands dirty like maybe we did when we were kids, and not having those experiences outdoors. And that's something we're really working to change. So as much as we can, we're getting all of our students out there to Blue and Silver Farm to, just experience nature and all the great things that this part of the world has to offer.
That's awesome. Certainly some exciting times at Pickering College.
Yeah.
So if someone's interested in Pickering College, how might they go about starting the admissions process?
Yeah, so I mean, a few different paths. I mean, a lot of students will first reach out to our office to maybe have a quick introductory Zoom call to learn a little bit more about us. We can certainly answer questions over email, things like that. Send you any of our materials, brochures. You'll find a lot of that on our website as well. Once a student's ready to take the next step, though, and actually submit an application, they'll find it's a pretty simplified process. It's an online application. All your documents, supporting materials are going to be uploaded through that secure portal. So as soon as you've created your application, you'll just see a quick little checklist, and you just go, item by item, make sure you've uploaded things like past report cards. We do have a teacher recommendation that we require, and there's a short student essay. We will then reach out. We'll do an interview with each of our applicants, typically over Zoom if they're not local, and kind of then have a chance to look over and get to know the student in their entirety. We're big believers in being holistic in the admission process and getting to know each applicant.
And what is the school's website address?
Yeah, so it's just Pickering College, so all one word, Pickering College, .on.ca.
pickeringcollege.on.ca. Easy. Awesome. Well, this is great. I've enjoyed our conversation, learning more about Pickering College and sharing with our audience. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you again so much for having me.
Will Waugh, Director of Enrollment Management, Pickering College in Newmarket, Ontario.
Thank you for listening to the Waugh Boarding School Podcast. We look forward to you joining us for our next episode. Please remember to subscribe to the Waugh Boarding School Podcast and help us spread the word. Until next time.